aware of that. And a very big welcome to everyone to the first pro seminar series for the Professional Captains Association for 2022. We're excited to have you all on the call with us this evening. And I am going to turn it over to Captain Kent Dresser here. He's going to be our presenter this evening. And we look forward to a great seminar with all of you. And we welcome your participation throughout. So thanks very much. And Kent, take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Kit. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Nice to see everybody. Some familiar names and faces out there. So thanks for taking the time to join us and listen to me. I'll try to make it as painless as possible. We've got an incredible lineup of individuals doing seminars this year. So I said, well, I better get mine in right away because they're definitely going to raise the bar. So I would say if you like mine, definitely come back in February. Okay. About once a year, we feel compelled to just remind people, update people on really the best and most effective and most efficient way to complete the study and examination for your captain's license. We do it in such a fashion that we hope to do, well, we want to achieve a few things. First of all, we want to service our Professional Captains Association members that haven't completed the course yet, that are working on it or planning on signing up this year. Two, we obviously want to recruit new members because no good association is, any good association is better with more members and more participation. And three, we just feel obligated that there's multiple ways out there to get your captain's license. Some are good and some are bad. And you know what? We'd love to have you do it with us if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. We just want to make sure that when you do it, you understand that it's getting done right, and you understand the good way to do it. So I hope that I'm able to relay all of that in a relatively engaging and relatively brief, a brief seminar this evening. Let me just share my screen here, and we'll get right into the information. If you've got your camera on, give me a thumbs up just so I know you can see see my new screen.
Yep, all good, Kent.
Thanks, Kit. Perfect. Thank you, Ernie. So last year was exciting, wasn't it? And the year before, if you think about just in terms of, just Confident Captain located in Newport, Rhode Island, and, the business that I founded 18 years ago. And then all of a sudden one day I'm like, well, it's not really a good idea to put a bunch of people in the same room for 8 hours a day, particularly strangers. Things got exciting for us, and we needed to pivot and be functional and be flexible. And we had at that time already luckily developed an online captain's course. It was relatively popular and had gotten some good review. It was a first iteration of it. There are things we wanted to improve. There are things that we really liked about it. But at the end of the day, for the most part, people still really want some sort of instructor interaction. Like they still want to talk to somebody. And it's funny because, what I found over the years in teaching, and I knew this long before I had developed an online captain's course, people, they can get the material. There's various levels of intimidation of the academia involved, but most people get through it. The academia was manageable. What people want most out of us, aside from, the experience and the share of the sort of practical or street knowledge, they want to be told what to do. People are oftentimes overwhelmed by the amount of material in a captain's course. But oh, what's next? Like, what do I do next? I don't want to organize the material. I want you to just tell me what to do next. Like that's sort of the biggest value that our instructors, here these, intelligent, super experienced people, and really what they're doing is telling you what to do next. So, and we're happy to do that. I just encourage everybody that works with our instructors this year, don't forget to get everything you can. They're eager to share information. So we used our online captain's course, and it worked out pretty well. And what we found really was that the hybrid program where you had your online platform and you had an instructor to help guide you through it was really sort of ultimately seemed to be what was the most helpful for the most people. So 2021 we sort of started that in earnest, and it was a busy year. We had hundreds of people, log in and complete our captain's course. We did have in-person courses that ran, although not as many as we used to. We still had our STCW basic safety training and some of the other courses that we run based in Newport, Rhode Island. And then we had hundreds of people, old and new captains, meaning I shouldn't use the word old, experienced and new captains that joined the Professional Captains Association. And then more seasoned and tenured crew came along for STCW and or first aid. So we remained busy. There were definitely some times earlier in the year that created some logistical challenges, but we managed to get it all done. And for the most part, as you know, the job market's great right now. So people are training and people are getting their certifications. It's allowed us to really sort of leverage the power of a professional association to help with people's professional development. We have a job board. We have seat time tracking capabilities that takes place right on the database, like right in your own user portal. That proved to be valuable, and I was glad that we were able to offer those services to our members, particularly over what's been sort of a dynamic year. And so for the plan for 2022 is to continue to bring you the best in training. We're completing and we're neck deep now in a complete overhaul of both the OUPV and 100-ton master captains courses. So as people that are going through the courses now will see new material is coming up. If you're on the old version, you're not going to not learn anything. You're just going to see it with different graphics and maybe sometimes different speakers and different instructors, but we'll make sure that everybody gets the same fair share of information. We'll continue to bring you the online courses, both in-person instruction and just straight in-person tutoring, whether that's in a classroom or via Zoom. I sort of consider both of those to be in person. You can learn one-on-one with an individual on Zoom or in the classroom, or we also do groups. Right now we have a group of 10 working with Captain Tony, who is doing that entire course. Those of you who are in Rhode Island know we've got some pretty strict restrictions right now, and that entire course is taking place on Zoom. And we had one individual last year that I was teaching, and he sat quietly through the whole course. And he had his headphones on, he had his chart, laid out on the dining room table, and he was doing all of his work. And, 5 or 6 days into the course, I see a kid run by. And I said, geez, I said, have you had your kids home this whole time? Like, I have to be 3 stories away from my children now. He's like, oh yeah, they've been in the same room. They've been doing their preschool and kindergarten work at the kitchen table, just on the other side of his computer. He managed to do it. We never heard a peep from them. They must have been some either remarkably behaved children or just he had his mute button on the entire time. But we never heard a peep. And, he managed to do it. I didn't envy him. I have small children at home. I can't imagine doing all this work with them, across the table from me. But they did it. So, it can be done. And it's remarkable to me what people can accomplish when they put their minds to it and they really want to get something done. So we want to keep working with great people like that, both online and in person. And we have a number of programs through the Professional Captains Association that we want to roll out, including current things that are sort of in the pipeline. Include insurance benefits as well as a commitment to excellent program for the pros out there that want to continue their professional development in sort of a more formal fashion and be able to carry that logo and market themselves as one of the folks, as a member of our, not just association, but our participant in our commitment to excellence. So those things are coming in 2022. I would encourage you to, keep your eye out. And if you're not a member, we'd love to have you join us, but we won't put a hard sale on you. And keep in touch with us, and you'll see information for those things come out. If you found this seminar, you'll probably hear about those things as well. Let's get back to the hybrid learning. Right now, sort of having been forced into hybrid, both by market and by COVID logistics, it blends your face-to-face classroom or your Zoom instruction time with your online activities, and it does reduce the amount of seat time. Now, if you go back 18 years ago, when I first started Confident Captain, just in Rhode Island, just where I had grown up in the business, the hardest sale for me was getting someone to commit 80 hours over there. Everybody wanted their captain's license. Everybody wanted me to teach them. I was the only teacher back in those days. But the hardest thing for me was getting people to commit 80 hours of their time. 80 hours is hard to find, 80 free hours. And so we dreamed of having an online course in order to reduce the seat time and get people, make it more flexible. We did days and nights and weekends, but at the end of the day, 80 hours is 80 hours, right? And so we dreamed of ways to do that, but back 20 years ago, it was a little bit too expensive to do those things online. Now we've been able to do it. And in fact, people have less seat time. They're getting really more face time with our instructors. And we're still now able to bring you, we consider ourselves to have the very best instructors in the business. They have a ton of experience. They're highly vetted, and we can bring them to you no matter where you are, anywhere on the globe. That's something to be excited about. It's something to be very proud of. And we put a lot of effort into, at this point, it's point it and shoot it in the most efficient and effective manner for everybody that we're working with. So, and it's significantly less expensive. So, online learning components, they cover the fundamentals of the content, but then you can kind of take the deep dive on your own time. During the dedicated instruction time, you've got authentic collaborating learning with teachers, with others. You've got your hands-on practice for rules of the road and plotting, and you've got a chance to speak to a specific instructor. It might be, what do I do next? It might be, how do I do this? Your instructor is prepared to answer those questions. And you've got the, believe it or not, and I was shocked when I learned this, Kit knows these things much better than I do. The latest in educational research actually shows that the flipped model of teaching is highly effective in helping students hone in on subject matter. In many cases, hybrid learning or flipped learning is proven to be, believe it or not, more successful teaching method than traditional classroom. I can't tell you that from the student perspective and the captain's license. I've taken some professional development courses the past few years online and had a lot of success with them. I can tell you that as the instructor, when I finish a course on Zoom with you, I feel like I've really given, you want to feel like you gave it 100%. After the first few courses on Zoom, when we figured out what we were doing, I really felt like I was giving you 110. It's just easier to drill down on each individual point that you want to get across when you've got your screen share and your camera and your voice on. I was remarkable. I thought it was remarkable how effective it was. And the students agreed. They sort of rolled their eyes. That first Zoom course, they sort of, we were 2 days in. I said, hey, look, we got to go home and I'll see you guys on Zoom. And everybody rolled their eyes. And by the exam, everybody was ready to go. So if, I know people are zoomed out, but quite frankly, it's a good tool. Not everything we do in the business is exciting. I know the academic component can be a little bit tedious sometimes, but we've been able to smooth that out a lot. So I'm excited about this hybrid learning. Students are excited about it because it costs less. If you did the traditional 80-hour, full days or 10 weeks of nights in the classroom, you were looking at $1,495 and 80 hours in the seat. The online course is $595, and you do it at your own schedule. If you're a member of the Professional Captains Association, it's $299 to join the Professional Captains Association, and the captain's course is included. So you're at a $300. Your exam is $100 in both of those cases. You're at a $300 or $600 obligation there. You're saving upwards of $1,100 if you can do the whole thing on your own without an instructor, if you don't have any tutor hours. Okay. If you look at the other benefits from the Professional Captains Association, you also have the seat time tracking, the networking, the job board. We have a watchdog, particularly with Coast Guard and local regulation, local law enforcement advocacy. Gear and apparel, the job board, you can post a resume or you can look for jobs. The seminars such as this one. Like I said, we mentioned earlier, the commitments to excellence program and discounted partners, including which we hope to announce next month, an insurance partner, which I think will be really fantastic for our members, and your captain's courses included. So bringing in the hybrid component, if you want to tutor, I tend to throw the word instructor and tutor. We refer to the people that are working for us as our instructors. They're tutoring you, and when you purchase it on the website, the price is reasonable. 12 hours is a 395, and up to 24 hours is 795. You're still $500 less than your in person. You're still $500 less than the in-person course was $1,495 in 80 hours in that seat. What we found is that it does depend on the individual how much help they need. If you think of a 80-hour course that I would teach in the classroom, there would be 1 or 2 individuals there that needed every last second of my energy. There would be 1 or 2 individuals there that really only needed me to say it once and spent 40 of those hours waiting for everybody else to catch up. And then in the middle, there was a little bit of a range of people. Okay. So I always felt sort of bad for the guys that were really on top of it and super fast learners, because they spent most of their time waiting for me to help everybody else get caught up. Of course, you feel bad for the people that are struggling, that struggle with the study skills, or were struggling to get their head around the material because they're working so incredibly hard and so much harder than others. And unfortunately, they tend to compare themselves to the fastest person in the class, which I don't encourage either. This balances it out. This is, you pay for what you need, and you don't have to pay extra, and you only spend the time in the seat. You have to do the entire online course, but you only spend the time in the seat one-on-one with your instructor, depending on how much help you need. So it just level loads things. It balances things out for the participant so much more efficiently. But it still gets you that one person that's going to look at you and go, hey, don't forget, in inland waters, one whistle is I intend to leave you on my port side. And in international waters, one whistle is I am turning to starboard. Here's what that means, and here's why that's different. You get that. You still get that. You get it in a little bit more efficient and hopefully cost-effective manner. And so there's some of your totals. At the end of the day, there's things that, as the proprietor of the programs, help me sleep at night, and things that keep me awake. And for years, the thought of sort of just sending you out, and I've eased up on this a little bit, but for years, the thought of sort of like, hey, here's your login, go figure it out. It doesn't really help me sleep that well. I really, my experience on the water and the 3,500 boats that I rescued and salvaged over my career, each that provided an individual lesson, was something that I wanted to share. Now, in many ways, we've been able to translate that onto the platform. In other ways, sometimes, sometimes you just really need to have conversations with people, and the hybrid program just allows us to do that. At the end of the day, I feel like people should have the choice as to how much they want to put into it. They need to know the material. They need to, they need to know it. They won't pass the exam if they don't. But as for the extra material, as for the conversations, as for, I don't think that there's any replacement for an expert captain, but I do also believe it's your choice. It's your, you can do it good. You can do it well. You can do it great. You can do it awesome. And that is really your choice. Our instructors, hope that you want to take the awesome route and work with them. So the instructor, if you're a new attendee in the course and you're going to work with an instructor, get some tutoring, what can you expect from them? Well, first of all, they're going to give you that sort of answer to that original question I was talking about, which was like, what do I do? What do I do next? This is a lot of, we got you. All of the side questions that happen in the classroom, you'd be amazed, like, as much as there's 80 hours of learning, there's multiple coffee breaks through that 2-week program. And there's a lot of information that gets thrown around the room in those 15-minute coffee breaks, or those 45-minute lunch breaks, right? You still kind of get that because when you're working with someone on Zoom, because it still is 2 live people interacting. But they're going to help you drill down on that plotting and that rules of the road. Those are certainly the two most daunting parts of the examination, or that have the most information, are the ones that people people want to focus on the most. They're going to still have that same advice on how to avoid common exam taker mistakes. So if we would joke in the classroom, and of course the instructor would be the only one that laughed, but like, if you're going to flunk this exam, you're going to flunk it for a good reason, right? And that good reason is the advice on how to take the exam and to do it right, and not to make user errors. I'll give you an example. One of the things I tell my groups are like, look, you sit down at this exam, some people will, let's say you have 20 questions on your plotting exam and someone's laboring over question number 5 or 6, but they're going to move pretty quickly through 7, 8, 9, and 10. I was like, look, if you start to struggle with a question, you need to set it aside and go back. You might find it's the only question you're struggling with. Otherwise, if you waste all your time and you run out of time, you flunk the exam for not answering questions that you otherwise could have answered. And people, oh yeah, geez, I hadn't thought of it that way. So, that's not a big deal, but it helps. It helps people get through an exam that they're already apprehensive about. So, exam taking tactics, getting you ready for test day, just having someone that has your back and knows that they're there to help and they want to be a part of the solution goes a long way towards your level of confidence too going into it. And then just again, the individual and small group attention. That's something we've been noted for a long time. We each have our own different personalities. I have the one that tends to be a little bit dry. Tony has the one that tends to be much softer than I am. He's got better C stories. And, each one of us are sort of reputed for our own personalities and our own level of attention on you. And people are often very fond of that. If you did the course 10 or 15 years ago, they don't really remember the exam. They remember you and the things you said and some of the more, hopefully more poignant pieces of information you came across. So I tell you, one of my favorite things about my job is the remarkable people I get to work with. Their level of experience, how incredibly smart they are, how much they care about their job, how much they want to help people be really good boat captains. Everybody on that screen right there knows that if they don't do a good job teaching you, and myself included, if we don't do a good job teaching you, we're going to come across you on the water and you're going to collide with us. Like it's sort of like Murphy's Law. And that's the way we feel about it. We want to make sure that you get as much information as you can, as best as we can. Tony has been one of our lead instructors for years. He's teaching a course right now and he's on day 2 and the students are already emailing me saying how much they love Tony. He's just a super guy. He's a wonderful instructor. He's a very dear friend of myself and my wife. Captain Annie and Captain Ken, same. Ken's teaching up in the Portsmouth, New Hampshire area now, and we're able to move into a market there and provide 5-star instruction because everything's turnkey and ready to go for him. He just has to show up and start talking, and even sometimes just turn on his computer and get on Zoom. And that's been the power of the hybrid, is we can take the best people. Captain Andy's in Western Massachusetts. Doesn't matter. He could be in Guam. He's able to, share the experience that he has as the former chief of the U.S. Coast Guard Regional Exam Center, as a former fishing vessel accident inspector, as a former executive director of the Pilots Association. He has a tremendous wealth of experience. He can share it with you, and it doesn't matter where you are, and it doesn't matter where he is. So, that to us is really the most powerful thing that we can provide, and we're just really excited about it, and it makes us really excited that that we're able to offer that much horsepower and for cheaper. Like in most things, that trajectory, most industries, the trajectory is completely opposite way. So okay, just a couple of things. I want to make sure that I didn't misquote or missay. Look, at the end of the day, exam prep tutoring sessions, they're not a substitute for your online course. They are supplements. You can't just do the tutor in one event. Your instructor would make that clear when you were working together. He would be like, listen, when you're not working with me, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. Okay. Again, phenomenal opportunity to get your questions answered in real time. And then that you need to complete one of the Coast Guard regulations is no matter how ready you feel for the examination, you have to actually have gone through and check off each box. You have to complete the entire online course. Okay. So without having completed the course, they won't allow us to give you the examination. So those are sort of the logistics involved. Let me open up the floor. That's really all I have from a new info. I don't want to bury you guys with this stuff. People probably have, types of questions that I regularly answer, and I'm happy to do right here is, seat time. How do I fill out my application? How do I, what's the schedule? We've basically covered the who, the when, and the cost. The one thing that I didn't see on there is where to find it. It's just confidentcaptain.com. If you type confidentcaptain.com in, it's going to immediately appear right in front of you. We're not shy about showing you how to sign up for our product. So, but let me open up now for anybody that has any questions. If you're in a position to turn your camera on, that's great. I'd love to look at you while I answer your question, but you don't have to. If you're if you're not in a good spot to do that. So does anybody have questions for me? Kit, not one single question, you think? Was there any in the chat room?
Let's see. I did not see any pop up in the chat. Nope. You did too much of a good job, Kent.
I'm not sure about that. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Todd. Yeah. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I had called earlier today and I had a question regarding like at the end of this. I have sleep apnea and I use a machine.
Yeah.
And I was told that from somebody else who refuses to use his machine that he lost a 6-pack license over that. So I want to go through this entire course and I want to start doing some part-time guiding, fish guiding.
Yeah.
And worried that at the end of this, when you go for that the exam,
Yeah.
that I wouldn't pass because I have sleep apnea. So I called and I asked that question today and then didn't really get an answer from that. And I called a friend of mine who works for the Coast Guard. He couldn't really give me an answer on that. So.
Okay. I can tell you, I'll tell you, I'll tell you what I know, and you can interpret it as you want. It's not your official Coast Guard answer because I'm not the answer. But answer number one, I have a lot of friends with sleep apnea that use a CPAP machine that have their captain's license and they renew it regularly.
Yep.
So from a practical standpoint, there you go. If you refuse to use your machine, I'm not sure I would advertise that. If you're using your machine, you know, it should be fine. So that was sort of the first point that I wanted to get across. If you want to play it safe, nobody wants to put all, and this is my recommendation, Todd, okay, is that you don't have to complete this course before you apply for your captain's license. You can apply for your captain's license first. The Coast Guard will say, okay, you can get your captain's license now. Go take a course. And then you can take the course. And so that eliminates the risk of potentially putting the time and money into this course just to not get your captain's license. Does that make sense?
Yes. So go to them first.
Yeah. Most people tend to take the course first because they know I'm going to give them a lot of advice in filling out the application. And in some cases, we even help them. We don't have to do that. You don't have to take the course at all. You could go to the Coast Guard in Boston and just take the exam. Most people prefer the course, but so my advice, and this is generally my advice for anyone who's worried about some people worry about not passing the application process because of medical reasons, other because of criminal background reasons, so on and so forth. Just apply first. We can send you, if Gretchen or Kit has your email address, we can send you the link to the application instructions.
Okay.
And send that application in. The Coast Guard will respond with an email that says, okay, your application has been approved. Go take these tests. Once they say that, come talk to us. If they say no, because of your sleep apnea, we have a specialist, Captain Andy, who was on this screen earlier, who was the former chief of the Regional Exam Center that is now an advocate for mariners that are having either medical or background difficulties. You can hire him and he'll go to bat for you at the Coast Guard.
Okay.
So,
right.
but do it cheapest to most expensive first, which is just send the application, and then either Kit or Gretchen can email you the application tomorrow, so in sort of an organized format. But I would be very hopeful if that doesn't sound like something that should keep you from getting it, Todd. I mean, maybe if you have some sort of extreme case, but otherwise than that, no. They may tell you got to wear your seat. If you have glasses, they're going to tell you got to wear your glasses. They might be like, you need to wear your CPAP machine while you're on the boat, but they just do it, do whatever the restrictions are.
Yep. Okay. Thank
Cool.
you for answering that question.
Yeah, sure thing, Todd. Anytime. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, hello, this is Jeff here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Jeff. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, got a question for you. Based on what he's saying there, what are some of the health restrictions that would keep you from acquiring your license?
That's a great question. The Coast Guard's not too crazy about heart conditions that haven't been proven fixed. You have a heart condition and you fix it, that's fine. There's some hoops to jump through, but you need to show them that it's fixed. And, when you get to that, but, again, I have friends that are captains that have had mild heart attacks and have used them as an opportunity to turn their health around and done fine. And have their license now. So it doesn't make it impossible, but it does make it harder because the Coast Guard wants to see that you're not going to have another heart attack while you're in command of a vessel. Okay. And they don't care a lot for seizures. That creates a problem. So if you have some sort of illness that brings seizures, then you're going to really have to show them, that you can go many years without, or that you can go for quite a long time. And that stems, if you think about it, that stems from, excuse me, the big one was from the Staten Island ferry accident where many people got killed. About 15 years ago now. And he blacked out as he was coming into the dock, and he hit the dock, hit the dock hard, and there was a number of injuries. That actually was what stipulated the little increase in the medical, that and the STCW regulations. So I would say heart conditions and seizure conditions. So.
Is there a hard line list of things that may disqualify you or may have concerns for? Or is it, again, make an application and see what they have to say?
There's a lot of gray area there. There might be a hard list. I can ask Andy Hammond tonight and find out, but I've never seen it, but that doesn't mean there's not something out there. He'd have a more detailed answer than I do. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to log on tonight, but we can email you that if you want.
Yeah, and the reason I'm
Yeah.
asking is I'm not doing this to go professional. I'm doing it as a personal education for myself because
Yeah.
of the ocean time and all that I spend out fishing and everything.
Mhm.
And why I'm asking is because I have an aortic aneurysm, so that they're monitoring. So
Yeah.
I mean,
That could be troublesome, Jeff. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that one.
well, that's, hey, look, I want straight answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That doesn't mean you can't do the material, but they might give you a license, or if they do give you a license, it might be restricted to something. Why don't you send me an email and I'll connect you to Andy Hammond. My email is really easy. It's just Kent, KENT @confidentcaptain.com. But while we're at it, Jeff, I have a friend who his aortic aneurysm ruptured, and he survived, and he still holds his license.
Well, that's great. I mean, I'm under constant monitoring and everything for it.
Yeah.
And I go twice a year to get it checked.
Yeah.
And it's so.
You might find it's okay. I mean, it's worth poking into. But send me an email because I can connect you with Andy Hammond. I'm sure he'd be happy to give you his. He had many years as the chief of the exam center. I'm sure he'd be happy to tell you.
That'd be great.
At least what he knows about it. At the end of the day, a license gets approved when it gets approved, but he can at least give you some insight going into that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome,
can
Jeff.
share
Thanks for
some
coming.
personal experience.
Yeah.
For my renewal, I went and got my physical at the occupational health place in Warwick.
Yeah.
And you just go
Concentra.
first
Yeah.
come, first serve. And they had a coffee machine in there, and I waited 5 hours to get in. I drank coffee all day, and I flunked the blood pressure point.
Yeah.
So they sent me out in the office, and then I went back in and tested again. When I went and sent my stuff in, Coast Guard scrubbed me. And I had to get note from my doctor and all this stuff. And I play hockey twice a week. I'm in good shape. It wasn't an issue, but they put me through the ringer on my renewal because of blood pressure.
They want to see something that says your blood pressure is under control.
Yeah, they don't fool around. It was pretty I was shocked that I wasn't going to get renewed. And like I said, I work out a lot. I'm in good shape. So
yeah, I know.
They won't fool around.
That's happened. And the other thing that, the other piece of advice, I mean, you can't lie to the US Coast Guard, but like I had a friend who went into a whole bunch of detail about one time he fainted. And so they checked him for seizures, but it wasn't a seizure. He had just fainted, right? You follow me? But because he had been checked for seizures, he checked the box that says seizures. And I was like, no one ever, no. don't. And they really put them through the ringer. And I said, look, I said, if you know you don't have that, then don't check it. If you were checked for it, they said, no, you don't have it, don't check it. like sometimes, and you go in good conscience and you say, well, look, if I don't have it, I'm not checking anything. I might've been checked for it, I'm not, is there, no, you don't have that, Kent? Well, great. I'm not talking about it. Then, it's nobody's business.
Yeah, I agree with you. Don't embellish too much.
Yeah, you can't lie, but less is sometimes more.
Yeah.
Look, here's my blood pressure, here's my respiratory, here's my, and like, let's get, here's my BMI, and I can stand up, I can sit down, and like, let's not make this more complicated. Unfortunately, the government has a funny way of complicating things, and so I tend to be like, look, just here's what you need to know, and I'm going to be on my way. So, other questions or other anecdotal?
Kent, it's LJ here.
Hey, LJ, how you doing? Thanks for coming.
I'm good. Good talking to you the other day. We talked briefly about this the other day, but at what stage of going through the online course should I be trying to submit seat time?
Any.
Wait till the end of the course?
That's fine. You finish the course, LJ, you get a certificate of completion from us. Well, you have to pass the exam, of course, but you can pass the exam. You get a certificate of completion from us, and it's good for a year. So you have a year from the day you take the exam till when you send the application in. So I generally tell folks, I'm like, look, do it before or do it after. Don't put a whole lot of energy into doing it in the middle, because I've got other things I want you thinking about. No, that doesn't mean everybody.
No, I'm working on working on the first module or the second module right now. But
I just had a good friend from town. I just had a good friend from town who for years he's been saying, I'm going to take the course, and he got on and he logged on and he started doing it all at the same time. The application, the physical, the drug test, the TWIC card, the rules of the road, the plotting. Whoa. I said, and he stopped. He dropped out. He said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to take a break. Like, as a business owner and a parent of 2 small children, like, I know I can only do so much in a day, right? And many of you are in that same position as I am. Like, I just, don't bite off more than you can chew. So, in your case, LJ, because I know you already got cracking on the online, just, I would just wait till you're done, and we'll help you when you're done too.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to document, or at least not document, but at least make notes on 50 years worth of,
unless you had like a job waiting and you were in some sort of a hurry to get the license, which you not in your case, just wait till you're done, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I think that the bigger concern is that well, last year we pretty much didn't get a lot of seat time.
Well, that's
and
just
so
an
when you roll the
excuse to
clock,
do it right. That's an excuse to do it now.
Right, exactly. As to trying to get it done before summer of 22.
Yeah.
Which 2019 was the last, say 40 days or 50 days worth of seat time.
You
and
still
trying
got 'em.
to add up to that 90 when you take a
Yeah.
year off in the middle of the sequence is a bit problematic.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
okay,
we got
thanks.
some coming up. We got some great stuff coming up. So.
Yeah, no, this summer we'll do plenty.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of an ocean right now.
Yeah, precisely. I appreciate the fact that you're actually here. So cool. What else? Any other questions from any other folks? A lot of people logged on. I haven't heard from too many yet. Now's a chance to get free advice from Captain Kent. I mean, it's free if you call tomorrow too, but it's just easier to get it from me now. So. All right. Well, if that's the case, Kit, unless you have any marching orders for everybody, I'd say.
No, I thank you everyone for attending, for joining, and like Ken said, we have a couple of great speakers coming up. We'll send out some more information in our next newsletter about the next.
Can we talk about February yet or no?
I want to double, triple check.
Okay. Watch for February is going to be a cool
February
seminar.
and March. We have
Yeah.
2 very exciting speakers coming up. So looking forward to that.
Register early because I think we cut off at 100. This one isn't so well attended. They hear me say this every year, you know, like I think last year there was like 90 here last year. But
And also I should mention too, that we have the archives of previous talks on our YouTube channel. So if you missed one last month, we had a really interesting discussion about dockside safety and how that plays in with professional captains and some of the safety and emergency management that we can all plan for and consider in risk assessments when we're thinking about the dockside interaction, the shoreside interaction with our vessels. So that was a really interesting one from a former Coast Guard commander. And yeah, we hope to have some more folks in the lineup that you all will get a lot out of. So looking forward to that.
Cool. Yeah, we've got an exciting year coming up at the Professional Captains Association. I hope that really we're able to help all of you in some way. And if you're not a member, I don't want to keep putting the sell on you, but come join us because we'd like to hang out more. So and reach out to myself or Kit anytime, and we'll answer any questions for you and do our best to sort of help you get the most out of your license and your careers. And thanks for coming.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Thank you.